Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. We're coming to you at 9:46 p.m., very specific time, because the Dallas Mavericks wrapped up the game against the Washington Wizards in pretty much 2 hours to the dot. Had to be one of the fastest Dallas Mavericks games in my entire freaking life. And they beat the crap out of the Washington Wizards 130 to 108. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, you want to actually clock it at about 15 minutes this game ended, because it was pretty much over after the first quarter. And you don't say it. And in today's NBA, you don't get to say that too often with how roller coaster modern games are with 3-pointers and the efficiency of these offenses. Usually you'll see a big lead get dwindled down just with the way how talented the league is and the way teams play. But this one was over. This one was over after the first 12 minutes. I think we could confidently say that tonight.
And why it was over within the first 12 minutes is because we had a Klay Thompson explosion following the I think it was only 2 shots against Boston. Looked like Jason Kidd read some Dallas Mavericks websites, saw some criticism of the combination of the I don't know, just the lack of offensive game plan the Mavericks seem to have. I don't know. We talked about that Celtics game. They had an offensive game plan, and it wasn't one that suited Klay's strengths. And so he doesn't get many shots. And early on, the ball found him, I think, largely just as a result of like game flow. Didn't feel like they were doing anything special. He also did this really neat thing, and it's like, I wish we had like better social clipping, because it's like this would be a clip. Klay did this like really incredible thing where he got the ball and he shot it. It's a wild thing that happens. So when you shoot it, when you don't take any stupid pump fakes into nothingness, and you just do the thing which you are placed on earth to do, which is Klay Thompson shooting the basketball, the ball has a higher percentage chance of going in. And at one point in the first quarter, he was 6 of 7 from the floor, and they were all 6 made threes. I'm pretty sure that's something like that.
Finished the first quarter with 7 made threes. So
now he ended up the game with 7 of 12 from 3. And so I don't know, like this probably dropped his percentage down just a little bit. But after the first quarter, where he hit 7 of 10 from 3, Klay shot over 300 3-pointers this year. This is a 47th game of the season. For anybody who's remotely good at math, I want you to understand how hard it is. Klay Thompson raised his 3-point shooting percentage an entire point in a single quarter with how well he shot the ball. It was so funny. I was just dying laughing, because it's like, this is it. And you were kind of getting perturbed because it's like, you were perturbed because we have to contextualize, like the Washington Wizards are one of the 10 worst basketball teams I've seen in my life.
Okay, good. I thought you were going to say one of the 10 worst teams in the league, and I was like, please tell me all time. Okay, thank you.
Just one of the worst basketball teams ever assembled. They were also missing 3 of their better players, and so it's just, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I got a little persnippety in our Slack and on Twitter, because I don't even know on Twitter. I try to keep it sure. PG now, because I don't want anyone to yell at me. But my thought is, there's been a growing desire to see more production out of Klay, and I get it. Like, there needs to be. It doesn't really matter what the reasoning is. They gotta fix it, because he made 7 3-pointers in the first quarter tonight. He had made 9 total in the previous 5 games, and regardless of what the reasoning is, like, you need more. Like, he had 19 points scored in the previous 3 games, single digits in 4 out of the last 5, and 5 out of the last 7.
Yeah.
Like, he's not paid as much as he used to, and he's not that high on the totem pole in terms of his salary. But like, with all these injuries, you got to figure it out. And obviously, Luka out makes it harder. So it's not like you can expect him to be dropping 27 points a game and doing this regularly. But you need a little bit more than 4 shots against the Celtics and 6 points and 3 points against Portland and some of these performances he's been having. And to me, I think they've actually tried to do some off-ball stuff with him more than I think the fan base wants to admit. And that's fine, because you look at the production, and the production's poor for the month of January. He's averaging Before this, he was averaging 11.5 points per game in January. But like you look at who they play, look who they played the last few weeks: Boston, Oklahoma City, Denver twice. I guess Denver's not a great defense, so that's probably a bad example. But the Lakers, Memphis, Cleveland, Houston. That's who they've played in the month of January, and those are all games without Luka Doncic. Like, those are some good defenses. And you don't have Luka, you don't have Najee Marshall in a lot of these games. Some of these games they didn't have Kyrie. Like, Klay is an off-ball player. It is hard to generate looks for an off-ball player when you're missing so much spacing, when you're missing so much ball handling, you're missing so much passing, right? Because Klay can't pass himself the ball. And Klay, can't dribble himself into good shots like he could a little bit more in his Golden State, early on in his Golden State days before the injuries. He was actually, not terrible at doing some stuff with the ball in his hands. So
yep.
I guess
the passing that opened up for him after he started hitting buckets, some excellent passing. Just loved it.
Yeah. And to be fair, the Mavericks need to find him better in transition. It's been hard for them to get transition opportunities because their defense has been a little hit or miss with, Lively being out of the lineup. So that hurts. But I guess my point I'm trying to put a bow on this is I will meet people halfway when I say the Mavericks need to do a better job getting Klay involved and getting that production out of him. I would just say I think they have tried more than people maybe want to give the team credit for. And it just hasn't worked because they don't have spacing and they don't have passing and they don't have ball handling. And there's like, go rewatch that Celtics game. Like, they're running stuff for Klay. He just can't get open because there's no room for him. And he's playing against Drew Holiday and Derek White, two of the best, off-ball defenders the league
and you
has,
don't want Klay putting the ball on the floor against those guys.
No, exactly not. So like, there was a lot of this is what happens when you get Klay the ball, and I'm like, this is also what happens when you go from playing the defending champs to a 6 and 38 team. Like,
they've lost 14 games in a row.
That's also part. Like, I just want that. Like, if we can agree, if I can come to the middle and say yes, the Mavericks need to do a better job getting Klay involved and
this is amazing.
We can at least meet on that point too.
Do you know what their average point differential is?
The Wizards.
Yeah, don't look.
I'm not looking. Is it minus 11?
Ooh, keep going.
Minus 13?
It is minus 14.5.
That is astonishing.
Do you want the gap between them and the New Orleans Pelicans is nearly 6 full points.
I wonder what their net rating stuff is. That is outrageous.
Yeah. We're talking. Guys, we're talking historical bad. Like,
are they
good? Yeah. And if you want to be a glass half full guy and say that the team needed like just a shellacking, I actually think that's my takeaway. The team needed to feel good about themselves.
I'm not trying to say we should. Let's be clear. We're not trying to take away, like, they won a NBA game by 22,
but they were up by 38.
Yeah, no, like, that's still, with the way this team is injury wise. I mean, in my mind, any win, they could have won this game by 2 points. And I'm like, all right, like, when you don't have Luka and you don't have Najee, and they did have Kyrie, but like, no Maxey, no Derek Lively. Right. I mean, you just, there's no style points anymore. You just get wins, and that's all that matters. So, like, yes, it was awesome, and they haven't won. I mean, they've lost a lot. They've lost a lot of close games too. The Celtics game was a blowout. Like, yeah, man, they needed this for sure. Absolutely. No one should take anything away from this in terms of, obviously the Wizards stink, but they also needed a win real bad.
Just needed it. And it's funny, if you're looking at like random box score stuff to take away from this one, the game, I'm pretty sure I marauded Spencer Dinwiddie's lack of passing last game. And he had 9 assists and 0 turnovers.
There you go. And we know Dinwiddie is online, so that would be funny.
Well, it's this game was. If you're looking for stuff to take away, there's not much from this is how they apply moving forward. But the real thing that we're at right now, and the Mavericks sit 3 games over 500. They're about to head out on a pretty tough Eastern Conference road trip. the likelihood of them finishing the pre-All-Star break under 500 is, with the record that they've been playing, like it's
on the table.
It's on the table. So we gotta take wins where we can get them. And there were elements of this game that were really interesting and fun. And PJ Washington sort of using his size and strength, getting he was kind of all over the place.
I loved his post up against Alex Sarr, who's like 6 inches taller than him, and he made him look like
really abused him.
Made him look really, like Chris Paul or like Muggsy Bogues.
the other one is Olivier Maxence Prosper tying his career high, 20 points in 25 minutes. The fact that he was a +1 is hysterical, but that just means he was in during that late.
Yeah, he played. He played the last 5 minutes of this game when
he was like he had 3 offensive rebounds and felt like, I described him on Twitter as having big golden doodle energy, which for against the lower tier team, he's the kind of guy that can punish teams just because he's huge and he's sort of he does the same stuff Josh Green used to do, which would be like relentless on the offensive boards. And so it's fun to see him, mix it up, do some interesting things. I
had a career high 20 points.
Our guy Jack is writing about Omax, so we'll have an Omax piece up. I take a little bit of umbrage with the notion that the game is slowing down for him because he played 4 minutes against the Celtics and they never played him again. Like these are 2 different basketball games we're playing here, and every step Omax takes forward is largely going to come if he's able to play regular NBA minutes, and I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, it might happen now with Maxey out and they just need the body. So if he continues to get 15 plus minutes a game, then I think everyone should feel very bullish about his eventual development. But what comes with that is stinkers and massive mistakes. And I'm not sure Kidd has the patience, even with the lineups that they have to play him.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I think now he doesn't really have a choice. But you're right. That's why, what happened. We talked about it like a Saturday, like how does he go from following up his best game of the season in that win at OKC where you had 14 points in 21 minutes. And then the very next game, he plays 4 minutes against the Celtics. I don't think he played it all in the second half. And that's when Maxey got hurt. And it was very clear, like Kidd was not happy with him in those 4 minutes because he made 2 really bad mistake, like really noticeable glaring mistakes. I think he had a really bad turnover, missed shot. I think he blew maybe defensive coverage in those 4 minutes and then he never saw the game again. And I brought it up because I was like,
why? They're already done. Why are you?
Yeah. And at this point, like, I can bitch about it and we can make a big stink about it. Like, why didn't he play? And look what he did tonight. And now it's like, I don't know if I've just become softer on this, but like, maybe this is just like Kidd's master plan. Like, players seem to react to what he's doing. And that's been the case since he's got here.
Yep. It's
been the case even during the awful 2023 season. He never lost the locker room. That team played hard to the end of the whistle. They just weren't very good.
Yep.
That team never felt like it quit, despite the fact that there were several moments that season where we were like, the season's over, and then they would come out and they would still lose, but they would like lose an overtime game or something where they're busting their ass. They just couldn't. They were just not good. So if there's one thing with Kidd and like the way he made, like, I just don't. It's harder for me to question this sort of stuff because it's been working. Like, it's kind of the same thing with the Quentin Grimes. He got that DNP CD earlier in the season against Denver, and we're all kind of like, what the hell is going on here? And then he plays the next game and he's awesome for like the next 2 weeks. And it's like, maybe there's a purpose to this. We're not in the locker room. We're not on the practice courts. We don't know what's happening outside of the games. Even the reporters that go to all the shoot arounds and everything, they aren't seeing everything either. Like, there is a limit to how much we can know about this stuff that's behind closed doors. So like, maybe this is part of the plan. Tough love. Maybe it was his plan all along to be like, okay, I sat your ass Saturday. I'm going to play you tonight. Show me something. Obviously it worked and it responded to it. And we've seen this happen multiple times in the Kidd era, enough that I don't think it's a coincidence. And that's not to say Kidd is not, you can't criticize his lineup decisions or his in-game coaching decisions. I'm just saying in this particular instance, I think we have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he kind of has the pulse on what his players are reacting to, which is kind of funny because that's like exactly not what he was doing in Milwaukee and Brooklyn. So like, he has grown up a lot as a coach in that regard.
Well, if I have one complaint, we gotta shelve these Markieff Morris minutes. He is 5 of 23 from the floor this year, assuming my quick math is correct, and it might not be, but he's not. He's a highly compensated assistant coach.
Yeah. So do you play your fresh off the street two-way guy back up 5 minutes? Okay.
Yes, you do.
That's what you want. Okay.
Kirk
wants Kyler Kelly minutes.
No, and look, I already deleted the tweet because I was just, it's like people are like, oh, this guy sucks. What are we doing?
I missed it. What did you say?
I there's an animated Star Trek gif of Kirk going, like putting his hand over his mouth, being like, what do you miss from the Star Trek animated show? Yeah. And I'm just like, you mean the 27-year-old white guy center no one's ever heard of until yesterday is not that good? Like, really? Like, what are we doing here? It's not his fault. And for anybody that wants the 7'5" guy, Jamarian Sharp, out from the Legends, no. No.
Well, to be fair, Kirk, I think you got what you wanted because Morris didn't play till the game was already out of hand anyway. I mean, when the game was still competitive, and I use that loosely because it really wasn't competitive after like the halfway point of the first quarter. I mean, his solution to no Maxey, no Derek Lively, no Dwight Powell was PJ backup 5.
Sure.
So
sure.
I think that I think in a close game, I don't know if Morris or Kelly even maybe they play a combined 5 minutes or something, like as long as there's not foul trouble, of course. Right. But I think that gave you more of an insight into what Kid's thinking, what to do with his big man
all
rotation.
This is triage basketball. So I'm going to be reluctant to be too critical. It's just Markieff Morris goes in there and is like, you know what? It's Markieff Morris time. And I'm not interested in that. Like that's the real, at least with the rookie, at least with a 37-year-old journeyman center from the G League, he knows what he's supposed to do. Keith is like, yes, buckets, clank. I just, it is what it is. None of this is really something where if the Mavericks are going to win and lose these games because of marginal minutes like this, then they weren't like that. That just comes with the territory when you're this hurt. So, trying to think, is there like anything else like worth talking about in this one?
I don't know. You're right. That road trip is like, I don't know about this game, but I'm looking at that road trip now. That's unpleasant. The month of January has sucked and we keep talking about it. And every time we talk about it, I can just tell who interacts with me on social media versus who listens to our show. I mean, and also like who's paying attention to like how the NBA is right now. I mean, this is a murderous finish to All-Star break. It just is not pleasant. Like the Pelicans are playing decent basketball. They're better than their record right now because everyone's coming back.
Detroit is going to be a handful. Yeah. Like they're, it's at like the Tim Hardaway revenge game. That's a real thing. It's a real thing, guys. Then Cleveland, Philadelphia is a train wreck of like massive.
There's your one reprieve.
There's your one road win. And then they're at Boston. Then they play Houston. The Kings are a matchup nightmare for the Mavericks in the state that they're in. They're not very good. Like they still haven't passed the Mavericks, which strikes me. It just tells you how mid they are. The Warriors, who are going to be playing, I actually expect before this game, because that's February 12th, it's almost 2 weeks. I actually expect the Warriors to make a move before then. And then they play Miami, who are just the weirdest team in the league because Jimmy Butler is asshat number 1 of the NBA right now. So it's, it's just good. Of course, things can be great. I mean, the Mavericks keep telling us Luka might come back. I don't know what game you'd bring him back. Yeah,
maybe. So. I mean, I'm guessing if he's going to come back before the All-Star break, it's going to happen. They've got the four games, the 4-game homestand. Like, there's no way he's going to play on this road trip. I don't think. And I don't think you want to bring him back on the road, like against Boston as his first game back. So like, they come back Saturday, February 8th against Houston, and then they play February 10th, 12th, and 13th before All-Star break. Those are all home games. So if he's going to play, it's probably going to be one of those games. So I think Jason Kidd said Najee Marshall is going to travel with the team on this 5-game road trip. So
is he going to be encased in a bubble?
I don't know.
It's very important. I mean, honestly, somebody made a joke earlier, and I'm not. It was in the chat, I'm pretty sure, but like, I have never heard of anything like this for a professional athlete.
I kind of feel like I hope he's okay.
Concerned. Yeah. Like somebody made the joke, or like, does he have an autoimmune disease? Like that's like when you keep getting sick like this, like that's alarming.
Respiratory viruses, if that's what he has or not.
Yeah,
those aren't fun. Those aren't fun.
So it is what
hope
it is.
He's okay.
It is what it is.
Hey, the game was fun though. They kicked the hell out of the Wizards. So they really did. I mean, they made 23 pointers after I think they made more 3-pointers in the first quarter than they did all game against the Celtics on Saturday. Because Klay had 7 threes in the first, and then they definitely. I mean, they made 8 against the Celtics. I know they made 8 in the first quarter tonight. Right. So that's something. But yeah, they took care of business. I mean,
this is just pure triage basketball. I try not to get too high or too low. It just feels like just such a waste of a season in the big picture right now, because it's just things didn't go the Mavericks' way. Sometimes you're snake bit, and like the Mavericks, I want to say Followell shared something on Twitter. Somebody did where it's like, oh, this is only the 9th worst season in terms of games lost to injury for the Mavericks, something like that. I'm like, how? Like, I don't know. This is.
Well, probably you got to weigh it though, right? Like,
okay.
Luke. Well, no, I'm just saying. I wonder if it's because there's been season. If your 13th through 15th men are missing a lot of time, it still counts as games missed. Like, there's a different. Like Luka and Lively missing a game probably counts as like, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if that's where it comes out in our heads, why we don't really remember it that way. But
no, and like I want to, and since we're close to wrapping up here, I would love to do a Mavs party, but I just don't know what we would talk about. Like, this is
people want to talk about Omax, man.
Well,
no, I'm kidding. You need to.
I mean,
I have some fun games here that you'll want to do it.
Yeah, and the Omax of it all, I think, is worth revisiting, because a number of people have asked me during the course of the season where it's like, what do you think about Omax? What do you think about this and that in relation to him? And I've said kind of repeatedly, like, that if Omax is playing, then the season's not gone well. Well, Omax is playing because the season, and we're still above 500, but it's not where we want to be, and this could be important long term. It really could. You got to find moments for development, and Kidd has by and large been better about that than Carlisle, I fear. So
absolutely.
There's some there.
Yeah. I guess not to end the show on a talking point to make us talk longer than we need to, but the question then becomes, I mean, do you even talk about this because of how hurt they are? Do you don't want to knock on wood, but
the trade stuff?
No, not even trade stuff. Just more like, how does Omax figure into this thing when they're closer to full health? Like let's say Luka's back and Najee's back and Lively's back. Maxi's still out. Let's say at least you get those 3 guys back. Although I guess Maxi could come back before Lively, but
right.
Like if Najee and Luka are back, bare minimum, like where does Omax fit in? Because Luka can play. Obviously, he's your lead. He's your point guard, but he's 6'7". You could play him all around the floor.
Sure.
Omax is also 6'7". So Najee is another rangy wing. So is there space for him? Like if he's playing well, who do you bump?
I don't know.
So like that would be interesting to see what they do with him when everyone starts coming back.
So my sort of off the cuff take is that Omax is right now a far superior on-ball defender, despite Maxi actually knowing what he's supposed to do. Maxi just doesn't have the physical wherewithal to be that player, and they are what he are. So the flip side though is that Omax is still a pretty hilariously wild. Like he loses guy. Like he's not a great team defender. Okay. But we knew that coming out of college. Like that's just sort of the nature of his deal. So Maxey, on the other hand, is a obnoxiously useful help defender when the Mavericks are humming. I just don't think Kidd can help himself in that regard. Kidd will play him over Omax every day of the week.
Yeah, because coaches tend to lean like, it's awesome that Omax can Omax scoring 14 points against OKC on the road, got to the free throw line 9. Like Maxey's not going to do that at this stage of his career, but also, the peaks and valleys with Omax are high. He's a volatile player right now, which you can ride this out right now when everyone's hurt and the coaching staff can live with it. But yeah, when everyone's back and coaches have the option of a veteran that might not, Maxey's not going to pop off for 20 points like Omax just did, but he's also going to be from what the coaches care about. Fans are not going to want to listen to this, but that steady, consistency in terms of like not making big boneheaded mistakes is kind of how it usually works.
Whereas Maxey's in the right place, and often it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, but coaches sometimes NBA coaches are weird. They would rather value, hey, this guy was in the right place. We'll take that over a guy that sometimes is in the wrong place.
Say, man,
and then scores pops off for a dunk or a 3 or something.
Omax does not strike me as a guy who every time Maxey shoots the ball, Maxey Kleber shoots the ball and it doesn't go in, he looks like a pitcher who just gave up a grand slam. And Omax does.
He looks confident.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
Like very difference. Dorian Finney-Smithy,
Yeah, his jumper, like the actual form of it, the way he's shooting the ball, night and day from 12 months ago.
Yep.
I mean, not that he had like a hitch or it looked weird, but just has a confidence and the smoothness to his jumper.
I just like his drive game too. Like he body bumps people, like the body bump stuff.
He's getting to the free throw line and he's got. I mean, essentially, he didn't play against Boston, so just take the last 2 games. He's got 13 free throw attempts in about 46 minutes. That's not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah. Well, it's always fun to talk about a random guy like Omax. Blah. All right. So they play Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, so they play Pelicans next, and then Detroit at 6:00 on Friday. I am not going to be able to be around for the Friday game. This is like the first time all year I'm actually really missing a game. So that's going to be a little bit off-putting. So you'll find somebody to talk Detroit about. Wednesday though. Wednesday I'll be here. And then maybe we do a live show after the Pelicans game if there's a little bit of something to talk about. Because that last Pelicans loss was one of those that really set me off. Because the Mavericks had that one in tow.
Right.
And and somebody in the chat, probably fan 123, I think, said I have an odd feeling Kyrie's going to rest. Interestingly enough, we haven't seen anything about Kyrie's back issues, which is good. And
no news is good news.
Yeah, I would hate for them. They need to, oh well, we'll figure it out. All right, guys, everybody be good. Thanks for hanging out with us for a half hour. We will see you guys on Wednesday. Go Mavs. Kyrie rested tonight. That's a hilarious comment. Go Mavs.